First at 9. This is Other Derana 24/7.
President to take on Saitam saga. An unusual incident in the House. Tilanga responds to striking ground workers. And Trump breaks ice with the Chinese leader. Hello there, very good evening to you. Thank you for joining us here at News on Other Derana 24/7. I'm Dasuman Premathunga, and we start off with the local news. President Maithripala Sirisena today assured a favourable solution on the issue of the private medical college in Malabe. The President said that he will discuss the matter with all parties concerned. The President was addressing a public meeting in Thalawakale today.
Medical students are concerned about the Saitam University in Malabe. As President, I emphasize that I will not allow any injustice to happen to medical students of state universities. As a government, we will solve this matter in a reasonable manner. I will discuss with parents of students belonging to both Saitam and state medical faculties within the next few days and arrive at a solution that is fair for both parties. I will not be partial to any party. The government will act in a manner that is reasonable to all students.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says that discussions are ongoing to establish a major touristic centre in Kandy. The Premier said this addressing the Trinity College prize giving held at the college auditorium.
I was surprised when the principal invited me for the Trinity College prize giving. So soon after the rubber sheet, I have told what I have to say to the royal principal and go ahead and have a peaceful rubber shield next time, where of course we'll win the shield again. Having industrialized in this country further, bring in the type of industries which we had never had before. Manufacturing of electronic appliances, manufacturing of motor car components, and so many other areas for which we have to bring foreign investors in. For the city of Kandy, I had a discussion with some of the ministers yesterday who represent Kandy, a big project to develop one major tourist center in Kandy. Around the Bogambara prisons will be a cultural complex, cultural complex, and around it a series of hotels. I have asked them to identify land for one large IT zone in Kandy. Let's catch up with the world. So many countries that were behind us have got ahead of us. We first decided we have to set the example. However much we disliked each other, the two political parties had to work together. And I can tell you that is no easy experience. It's like that Bradley Shield match every day.
And some news from a neighbouring country. Now, former President of the Maldives, Mohamed Nasheed, says that he will contest in his country's next presidential election in 2018. Nasheed was speaking at a news conference held in Colombo today.
I hope to win the Maldivian Democratic Party's ticket as the party's candidate of choice for the 2018 Maldives presidential elections. In his fear to contest me, if President Yamin bars me from contesting the elections, then of course his presidency will lack the necessary legitimacy. We have decided that NDP will produce a candidate. I am hopeful to be that candidate. And if President Yamin doesn't have the necessary strength to contest me, and perhaps he doesn't, then we will go ahead and back another candidate.
In more local news, now members of Parliament representing the joint opposition met with Chairman of the Elections Commission, Mahinda Deshapriya, today to discuss matters pertaining to the delay of the local government polls. The meeting lasted for almost an hour. Parliamentarians representing the joint opposition expressed views after their meeting with the Chairman of the Elections Commission, Mahinda Deshapriya.
It is very clear that the Commission has done everything in its power to hold elections. The only delay lies with the process where the government has to carry out further measures through the ministry.
The government will not hold this election until 2020. The only way to handle this is by getting out to the streets with the public.
As far as I have realized, there will be no election this year. As the election commission, we are trying as much as we can to hold the local government election soon. All of us were talking about the possibility of holding the election in June or April. However, it is apparent that the elections are being postponed. The election commission cannot make a definite statement that there is an attempt to postpone elections. However, the election commission is of the view that there are dangerous currents in a peaceful deep ocean.
භයංකාර දියවැල් යටින් ඇති බවට සියලු දෙනාටම සැක කළ හැකි බව පමණක් කමිෂන් සභාවේ මතය වෙනවා.
A protest against the South Asian Institute of Technology and Medicine was held in Nugegoda today. Protesters marched from the University of Sri Jayawardhanapura to the Ananda Samarakon Open Air Theatre in Nugegoda. The Inter-Medical Faculty Students Action Committee, Inter-University Students Federation, Inter-University Bhikkhu Federation, Ceylon Teachers Service Union, the Government Medical Officers Association and parliamentarians representing the joint opposition, JVP, a frontline socialist party and Lanka Samsamaja Party took part in the protest.
දැන් කියනවනේ අපි ඕනම විභාගයකට සූදානම් කියලා. ඒ ඕනම විභාගේ A level කියලා තිබ්බා. ඒකෙන් පාස් වෙන්න බැරි වුණා. ඒක අපේ වැරද්ද නෙමෙයි.
They say that they are ready to face any examination. That examination was already done. That was called advanced level. They couldn't pass that. That is not our fault. Neville Fernando is unable to understand that the general MCQ was already held. It is not necessary to hold the MCQ again. They say that they are smarter than our doctors. If they are smart, why doesn't the Medical Council accept them? What is the opinion of the Ministry of Health regarding CITEM? When our president was acting as the health minister, there was a 5-member committee and they decided that this institution should not issue medical degrees. The Medical Council also decided that the doctors who are passing out from this university are not suitable to serve the people of this country. If this is going to be legalized, we will take necessary action to defeat this.
මේක නීතිගත කරන්න හැදුවොත් ඒකට විරුද්ධව ගන්න ඕන ඕනම ක්‍රියාමාර්ග කරන මේ සරණ පරාජයට පත් කරනවා. ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නවා පහුගිය ආණ්ඩු කාලේ
During the period of the former government, there were decisions against Shirani Bandaranaike and some decision against Sarath Fonseca. What happened to those decisions? The decisions have already been reverted. This decision can also be reverted if we work together.
මේ තීන්දුවත් ආපසු අරවන්න පුළුවන් ගොඩනැගීම හමුවේ.
Minister of Special Assignments Dr. Sarath Amanugama says that the honour of establishing CITEM and the Hambantota Investment Zone should go to former President Mahinda Rajapaksa. He said this speaking at the Sri Lanka Freedom Party media briefing today.
It is not ethical to appreciate the court when there are advantages and to criticize when there are disadvantages. The objection is for the same issue. The problem is about the standard. The current university system and CITEM should fall under the same standard. We have to look into the standards of the GMOA too. We must find out whether they are working on the time or engage in private matters within working hours. One good thing that Mahinda Rajapaksa did was supporting CITEM. In this sense, it is not right to refuse a birth certificate to a newborn. That is not a problem. That is not only for them, but for everyone. It is a clinical problem. That is why they built a hospital.
The State Minister of Finance Lakshman Yapa Abeyewardena challenges the former Central Bank Governor Arjun Mahendran to respond to allegations of spending more than 60 million rupees for personal reasons. The State Minister of Finance made these comments at a media briefing in Colombo today.
මහ බැංකුවේ අභ්‍යන්තර විගණන වාර්තාව පිළිබඳ හිටපු මහ බැංකුව අධිපතිතුමා
Former Governor of Central Bank has made a statement regarding the internal audit report of the Central Bank. I wouldn't exactly know whether he had signed the statement, but then his name and photo was published in newspapers. If that particular media statement was issued with his signature, then we have a few questions to ask him. The first question is to whom an internal audit report should be given. The internal audit report of any organization should be handed over to the head of that organization. It is said that he stayed twice at the same hotel on the same day. And then he had used his credit card without any limits for personal reasons. If he has done these things, legal action should be taken separately, just as they have taken action against the central bank bond scam. No public servant is entitled to such privileges.
We have been following the election for the president of the Sri Lanka Bar Association for 2017-2018, which will be held on the 21st of this month. Attorneys Anura Maddegoda, UR De Silva and RRS Thangaraja are the three contestants who declared their candidacy for the post. Today we feature attorney at law RRS Thangaraja with his opinion about the election.
I will be my responsibility to work resolutely to promote our jurisdiction and support our honorable profession through this period, notwithstanding the challenges that may lay ahead. The promotion and the upholding of the rule of law and the granting fair access to justice for everyone, regardless of race, gender, class or religion, will be the cornerstone of my presidency if I were to be elected. Let us re-energize our profession and BASL.
When asked about the Bar Association's connection with political parties, he had this to say.
First thing I will do as president of the Bar Association is not to join any party group or alignment in functioning in the Bar Association.
And we take a short break now. We'll be back with more local news. Hello, welcome back. In business news, here's Upul Atapathu with the weekly stock market roundup.
SPI closed near 6,100 levels, recording a loss of 0.4% for the week. Similarly, S&P SL20 also recorded a loss of 0.5% for the week. Both of these index losses were mainly due to the price losses in blue chip counters, namely Ceylon Tobacco Company, Nestle Lanka and Cargill. The average daily turnover was down from last week to 530 million rupees. The turnover was mainly driven by foreign purchases, which resulted in a net foreign inflow of 826 million. Out of this weekly turnover, the block trades accounted for 23%, which was a lower proportion than last week.
We now have an update from RM Sivanandan, who spoke to us about today's market activity.
Price index lost 2.24 points to close at 6,094.15. While the S&P Sri Lanka 20 index gained 3.3 points to close at 3,488.5. The turnover was 719.31 million rupees with 11.9 million shares changing hands in 2,189 trades. The market capitalization at the end of the day was 2,686.68 billion rupees. Top 5 gainers of the day were Amanata Kaful, Malayan Pips, Horana Plantation, Odell and Ceylon Leather Products. While the top 5 losers were Adam Investments, Adam Capital, Browns Investments, Nation Lanka Finance and the Finance non-voting. Today there were 2 crossings and the crossing turnover was 82.85 million rupees. Today's foreign purchases was 532.84 million rupees and the foreign sales was 210.67 million rupees.
And now let's take a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee traded against other currencies. We take a short break now. Leading in your sports news tonight, Lasith Malinga is set to make his long-awaited return to international cricket in the T20 series against Australia. Malinga's last international match was 12 months ago.
Malinga injured his left knee during a match between the United Arab Emirates back in 2015. And has struggled to prove his fitness ever since. After hurting his knee once again, Malinga had to undergo a surgery. He has fully recovered to take part in the T20 tournament in Australia, starting from 17th of this month. The T20 squad was named by Sri Lanka Cricket today. Upul Taranga, captain, Niroshan Dikwella, Asela Gunaratna, Dilshan Munavira, Kusal Mendis, Milinda Sirivodana, Sachit Patirana, Chamara Kapugedara, Sikuge Prasanna, Nuwan Kulasekara, Isurudana, Dasun Chanaka, Lakshan Sandakan, Lasit Malinga and Vikum Sanjay. Former vice-captain Dinesh Chandimal, who led Sri Lanka in the T20 series in South Africa, was dropped from the squad for the 3 T20s in Australia.
Malinga is fit to play. We have decided to declare his availability for the T20 to be commenced next week in Australia. Time and time again, he was trying to get back. Since there is a high-performance manager, we have put him under total care. High-performance manager has cleared him totally fit to play. Even though we would like to have him come back to the 50-over game eventually. So happy to see that Malinga is back in action, available to play for the country. So he'll be joining the squad to Australia since he is a very important pivotal cricketer.
I'm taking part in the Australian tour. I'm hoping to play the matches which I get to play. We will have our first practice match on the 15th. So I think that if I display a good performance in that match, I will be able to be inside the team for the next 3 matches. My first aim is to play the practice matches and to find out whether I'm still between my talents. So it will be easy for the selection committee and for the captain to take a decision on choosing me for the 11 players.
Let me take a look at some more local stories. A rather unusual incident occurred in Parliament today when the Speaker's chair toppled as parliamentarian Anand Kumarasiri, representing the UMP, attempted to stand up. During parliamentary proceedings, Leader of the House, Lakshman Kiriyala, said that the current government's stance is to hold a referendum regarding the proposed constitution with the support of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party.
Now to the chair. Oh. Now to the chair. Oh.
Nepali billionaire Binod Chaudhary, who is one of the major investors in Sri Lanka, says that Sri Lankan businessmen do not require regulation and assistance as they are doing fairly well. He made this statement speaking at the launch of his book titled Making It Big.
It is no exaggeration to say that no government of Nepal has done as much as the CG Group has done in order to provide the less affluent segments of the community with access to education, access to health, training facilities, and a perennial concern with the environment. He recognized the potential of this country under the bleakest of circumstances, when this island nation was engulfed in a ferocious war. And very few people were able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Those were the circumstances in which Binod Chaudhary decided to come into this country in a big way, to make colossal investments, and to make a very substantial difference to the economic future of this nation.
That time, when 6 aircrafts were bombed at the Sri Lankan airport, and nobody was prepared to, this hotel, 2/3 of this hotel was closed down. It was the gut feel, it was the ability to see beyond what is written in a feasibility study.
Pakistan has sent a relief flight to Sri Lanka containing 25 metric tons of rice for people affected by the prevailing drought in the country.
The flight containing 25 metric tons of rice for people affected by the prevailing drought landed at the Bandaranaike International Airport last afternoon.
Because of the recent drought which is there, this is an assistance which has come from Pakistan for our brothers in Sri Lanka. Pakistan and Sri Lanka, have the best of the relations particularly people-to-people relation, government-to-government relation. Pakistan never forgets the kind of assistance Sri Lanka gave to us. Based on those strong foundations, our relations are very strong, and Pakistan will continue to give all possible assistance as and when required. The recent droughts are unprecedented, which have come to this country, with weather playing its role in the rice crop. So we are looking for other arrangements also to ensure that people of Sri Lanka don't go through the suffering of this drought. And what best Pakistan can mitigate, we'll do that.
We will be back with more news after this short break. Leading in international news today, US President Donald Trump has issued a surprisingly conciliatory gesture towards his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping in the form of a diplomatic letter. This was his first direct approach towards the Chinese president. The letter was a welcome break in President Trump's otherwise confrontational attitude towards China. In recent months, President Trump had challenged Beijing on sensitive issues such as Taiwan and the South China Sea. It stated that he looks forward to working with President Xi Jinping to develop a constructive relationship that benefits both the United States and China. President Trump also thanked the Chinese president's wishes over his inauguration. However, certain parties have expressed concern that the letter is not a diplomatic gesture but an affront due to its delayed issue and the lack of direct spoken conversation. Still in news from the US, Republican Jeff Sessions, who was nominated by President Donald Trump, is confirmed as the United States' new Attorney General. The Senate voted 52-47, and the vote followed a harsh debate with Democrats attacking and criticizing Sessions for his civil rights record.
Sessions is the sixth confirmed nomination of President Donald Trump and was yesterday accepted as the new U.S. Attorney General with a vote largely following the party lines.
I want to thank President Donald Trump. He believes in the rule of law. He believes in protecting the American people from crime and violence. He believes in a lawful system of immigration that serves the national interest. And within bounds, those are things that may, from time to time, come before the Office of Attorney General.
Democrat Elizabeth Warren voiced strong criticism at the nomination. The Senate silenced her after she started reading a 30-year-old letter written by Martin Luther King's widow, who opposed Sessions' nomination as a federal judge in 1986, alleging he had intimidated black voters. David Duke, the former leader of the Ku Klux Klan, welcomed the confirmation at the meantime and wrote on Twitter that it is the first step of taking America back. The Alabama Senator Sessions is widely seen as an inspiration for Trump's anti-immigration policies, and his close ties to the president have raised concerns about his ability to be sufficiently independent from the White House.
Wow!
And from the US to the UK, British Prime Minister Theresa May won approval from Parliament's lower chamber to trigger Britain's exit from the European Union. This defeats attempts by pro-EU lawmakers to attach extra conditions to her plan to start divorce talks by March 31st.
The question is that the bill be read a third time.
British parliamentarians voted 494 to 122 in favour of legislation, giving May the right to trigger Brexit, ending days of intense debate. The bill now needs the approval of the upper chamber, in which May does not have a majority before it becomes law. The victory marks a significant step towards starting what is expected to become a complex and difficult two-year negotiation with the EU on issues such as trade, immigration and security that will redraw Britain's role in the world. After surviving a minor rebellion from within May's Conservative Party that had threatened to undermine her authority and negotiating strategy, the law was passed without amendment and on schedule. That raised expectations that the bill will enjoy an equally smooth passage in the unelected House of Lords when its journey there begins in earnest on February 20th. The government wants to complete the legislative process by March 7th.
A shanty town in Manila, Philippines, was devastated by a massive fire yesterday. The blaze left 15,000 people homeless and 7 injured.
The fire broke out late on Tuesday and continued yesterday as well, raging from 10 hours. The fire spread rapidly, engulfing over 1,000 makeshift houses. The cause of the fire is unknown and is under investigation. Social Welfare Officer Regina Jane Mata says that 3 evacuation centers have been opened and food and water are being provided to over 3,000 families who lost their homes. Manila, one of the most populated cities in the world, often suffers from fires commonly occurring in factories and in shanty towns.
And in your weather forecast for tomorrow, ground frost can be expected at some places in the Nuwara district in the early hours of the morning, except for a few showers in the Ratnapura, Gaul and Mathura districts. Mainly dry weather with cold nights and mornings are expected to continue over most parts of the island. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in the western, Sabaragamuwa, central and southern provinces during the morning. Time to take a look at the city-by-city weather forecast. And that's all the news we have for you this evening. We hope you join us again tomorrow. In the meantime, for the latest on local, international, biz and entertainment news, do log on to www.otherderana.lk, like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter. Here's wishing you a wonderful long weekend. Good night.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana, 24/7.